here. Thank you for the invitation, guys. I was so excited when Eduardo emailed me with this proposal. I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe it. So let's start without further ado. My name is Anne Heloise. I'm a climate justice activist, and I'm here to show you guys the experience of Engajamundo in Generation Equality Forum's Feminist Action for Climate Justice Action Coalition. And Engajamundo, first things first, let's get to know Engajamundo and the work and what we do. And Engajamundo is a Brazilian youth-led organization, and it was born in 2012. And it is a youth leadership organization made for youth and by youth. And we believed in the importance of youth action to tackle the biggest environmental and social problems of Brazil and the world. So training, mobilization, participation, and advocacy, we are dedicated to empowering Brazilian youth to understand, participate, and influence political process from local to international. And we organize ourselves through working groups, local hubs, and campaigns and projects. Currently, our working groups are gender, climate, sustainable cities, and sustainable development goals. And this is a part where we get personal. So this part that I start to tell you guys my story. And I joined Engajamundo in 2017. I was 21 years old. I was just starting at law school, and I didn't know if I wanted to continue with it. And I was so surrounded by people who didn't think like me. And I was always a human rights girl, so that was not something that was very much welcomed in my law school. And long story short, I was a bit lost. So I joined Engajamundo in 2017, like I said to you guys, and I joined the gender working group. I didn't join the climate working group first. And at the gender working group, I was able to coordinate a few campaigns and projects. The first one here is called Engaja Trans, and on Engaja Trans, with Engaja Trans, we aimed to increase the number of trans people in our organization. And then in 2020, we started a Parada no Para. That was a campaign made for Pride Month. In 2020, we had the COVID situation. We couldn't be on the streets. So a Parada no Para was basically online events with webinars and etc. And then we had Beabá do Gênero. Beabá do Gênero aimed to teach gender studies to our youth that is very peripheral and marginalized. So we talked about gender issues and sexuality and all of that. And all of these experiences were amazing. And these projects are in my heart. And the year was 2021, a year after. And Ana Rosa here, she was the gender working group coordinator. And she was the one that invited me to the Feminist Action Coalition for Climate Justice. And soon I learned that I was part of a bigger next network of contacts. And it all started with Paloma Costa. And Paloma Costa, she used to be the climate working group coordinator. She had left back on 2022 to 21 already, but she already had a position in the UN Secretary General's Youth Advisory Group on Climate Change. And these UN people called her, and they were talking about the Generation Equality Forum, the Feminist Action for Climate Justice Initiative, and they were asking her if she knew people that could be on it. And then she contacted Annie. Anna invited me, Annie, and then she contacted the climate working group coordinator, there was Gisele, and Gisele contacted Val Munduruku. Val is an amazing indigenous climate justice activist. She's from the Amazon. She does a lot of groundwork there. And she also contacted Victoria, that is an amazing climate justice activist in São Paulo. She's an environmental engineer. And just like that, we had our team. And I remember that Gisele couldn't be a part of it because she had a lot on her plate, but we ended up with this amazing team. And then we were in the Feminist Action for Climate Justice Coalition. And the climate justice, the Feminist Action for Climate Justice Coalition is part of the Generation Equality Forum. And I think it is important to clarify what this is. And it is an initiative that is founded on multi-stakeholder partnership that focus on 6 of the most critical areas to achieve concrete change for women and girls worldwide. These areas are, each one of them are a coalition. So we have the Gender-Based Violence Coalition, the Economic Justice and Rights Coalition, the Feminist Action for Climate Justice, Bodily Autonomy and Sexual Reproductive Health and Rights, Technology and Innovation for Gender Equality, and the Feminist Movements and Leadership Coalition. And all of this entire program, it is a novel opportunity for organizations to open new ways of addressing one of the biggest challenges in the UN Decade of Action, achieving gender equality. And the Generation Equality Forum took place in Mexico City in 2021. It happened on March. And then we had the second part of the forum that was in Paris, and it was by the end of June, in the beginning of July. And the forum brought together stakeholders from all sectors, including youth-led organizations, to launch a 5-year action agenda that I'm going to be talking about a little bit more in a few moments. And even nowadays, we are not in the coalition as Engajamundo only. We are there because of a partnership that we had with Fridays for Future MAPA, and that happened because of a few bureaucracies. But at the end of the day, we absolutely love the girls from the Fridays for Future MAPA. We help each other a lot, so we can say that we need them as much as they need us nowadays. So it has been an amazing ride with this partnership with both organizations. And the person that was leading Fridays for Future MAPA on this pathway in the beginning of the Feminist Action Coalition for Climate Justice was Maria Reyes. She was figuring everything out with us, and she's one of the amazing links. She was our link with Fridays for Future MAPA, but now she's one of the links we have with them, and has been amazing. She's a friend of mine. And we had a lot of achievements on this first year of FACJ, and the main of them, one of them is the Feminist Action for Climate Justice Blueprint. The blueprint is the Feminist Action for Climate Justice Action Plan, and this action plan is divided on topics. We took the leadership topic, and we did something that we thought that we would be able to do. Because we know how much LGBT people in general, especially trans women, are often out of these discussions and are often not recognized on international treaties, international human rights treaties. And we managed to make a reference to the LGBT community on our action point. And it says on the action 2, that we aim to tackle discriminatory gender norms and barriers around women and girls' leadership for climate justice through public advocacy campaigns reaching all populations and genders. And this is a story about friendship, but on this main topic, I chose to highlight our friendship with Nahora Alejandra Kitangar. She's an indigenous young woman from Colombia, and she's the executive director of Tejiendo Pensamientos, an organization that aims to uplift indigenous women and creates a possibility for their traditional culture, and etc. And she's the creator of the collective commitments on climate change and SRHR. That is a commitment we are working, a thematic that we're working a lot right now. And we had the launch of the Feminist Action for Climate Justice on the Generation Equality Forum on last year's July, and it was amazing. Mary Robinson interviewed us, and it was a great platform to show the hard work we made with the blueprints and our plans for this year, that we made some of them real already. And with all of this, the Fridays for Future MAPA team had to grow, and the main people that are helping us in the coalition right now is Fazila Murabak. She's from Kenya, and she's a scientist, and she's great. We have Aishka Najib, she's from the United Emirates. And we have Mana Omar, that is also from Kenya. She has her own organization. She's a scientist. These are all friends. And on FACJ's first year, we also managed to be part of the Global Just Recovery. There was an event by 350.org. And the Global Just Recovery Gathering was a 3-day online event featuring interactive workshops, cultural sessions, and hands-on training. And we began with 2022. In the March 2022, we were able to participate on CSW66 and CXW66 Youth Forum. And for the Youth Forum, we held a youth consultation with Engajamundo's youth and we gathered their point of views on climate change and gender, the intersections, and these recommendations made it to the global youth recommendation that was launched during the youth forum at CSW66. I also had a chance to moderate the event, Gender Equality, the Constants of Climate Change. It was an event that gathered climate justice activists, like you can see, Aishka is here, and I think Alejandra is here, and we had diplomats, and we even had Sima Baus, that is the UN Women's Executive Director. At CSW66, we organized and we are part of the mini documentary on bodily autonomy, sexual and reproductive health and rights. This mini documentary was an initiative of the Bodily Autonomy and the Sexual Reproductive Health and Rights Coalition. And Engaja team also had to grow. We added Anne Heloise. Anne Heloise is an indigenous girl from the Amazon, but right now she's studying law. She's in law school in São Paulo. And Camila Moura and Stella Severino also work with environmental issues right now. Camila is a mother, so we have a very diverse team. And right now we work with 2 subcommittees. We work with the Global Policy Events Subcommittee. At this subcommittee, we plan our actions at these global events like COP, CSW, and etc. And we also work with the communication subcommittee. That's basically how we are delivering our message for what public. For example, we are making a document about the intersections of climate change and gender for the main audience, for the general audience, and one for the negotiators. Like, it's all about adapting our language and make ourselves heard and understood. On COP27, that is happening next month, in a few days, we are gonna hold an event on the Youth Pavilion about climate change and sexual and reproductive health and rights. And we're also gonna be having hosting an event on the Action Hub, COP27 Action Hub, about the ancestral practices of women, of resilience of these women. And a few months ago in August, we held a youth engagement roundtable where youth came together to balance what we need for our activism to continue. And we had a few things came out of it. For example, our demands for the future, that it is more finance for incidents in global events, because these events are still very difficult to get to. I think that the other panelist was just mentioning it. Like, for example, COP27 is going to be on Egypt. A lot of people didn't get a badge. A lot of people don't have the money to go. So this is something that we were talking about on our youth roundtable. And we also need more finance to our local projects, because sometimes we want to make something that is a bit bigger and we just can't because of the lack of finance. And education on climate advocacy, because there are very few youth on decision-making spaces, and the few youth that reach these places, a lot of times they are not able to understand the language of the negotiations. So for them to better act on these places, they need to have like this knowledge inside of them. They need to be taught about these international treaties and all about these negotiation practices. And on the near future, we are launching our Feminist Action for Climate Justice messaging toolkits. That is something that came out of our communication subcommittee that I just mentioned. And we are also launching an opinion piece on climate change and sexual reproductive rights on BMJ Global Health. It's a scientific journal. I'm really happy about, I'm one of the co-authors of this. And thank you for joining me. I'm hoping I'm not past my time. So thank you guys so much for this opportunity. Thank you for the invitation. If you need anything, you guys have my contacts, my email, and we can keep talking about it. Thank you.